All right, we're at the Bio on the Bayou and Bullpen KOL interviews, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome one of my favorite people, Michelle Benz from Fierce Biotech. Michelle produces the most amazing conferences around communications and life science that you've ever seen. It's a really interesting space. It's a space that has been underserved, and I'm very excited to have her on here today. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, James. This is an amazing conference, and I'm so excited to be here and really talk about communications in biotech and pharma and why it is underserved and why we can do more.
And you're fresh off a panel doing that and educating the Gulf South on that, which is the first time they've seen it. But I'd love us to step back first and have you talk a bit about yourself and your background and how you got where you are today.
It's a great story. So I love doing events. It's definitely my passion. And I worked in a bunch of different industries until I magically landed in life sciences and pharmaceuticals and realized it is truly my passion. Communications can really do so much for a company by building their corporate strategy, maintaining their reputation, by actually helping differentiate them in a competitive marketplace. And I've seen firsthand what it can do for different companies and what it can propel them to for success. And I've also seen what happens if you don't do it well, those crucial missing pieces, which really hurt your everything, you know, your brand, your corporate reputation. And really what you want at the end of the day is getting that audience impact. And you have to be able to know your audience well and using communications as your strategy to do that.
Yeah, and why you have to think about it early, which is a perfect segue, I think, into what you currently work on now. Can you tell us about some of the events you're producing and how they're impacting the industry? Because I think it's transformative. And I think, you know, the fact that you're getting out of the bubbles now of the coast and coming down to us is also amazing. We're very appreciative of Fierce sending you down and letting you lend your talents to us. But give us a bit of information on your things you have coming up. What's going on?
Yeah, so we have 3 different events that we're working on so far, maybe more to come. And we have our East Coast event, which is our historic one. It's been over 20 years now, which is amazing. And so we're going to be bringing that back. And I like to say that one's a little bit more big pharma focused. And it's going to be really tailored to those companies that have a lot of people on their communications teams or multiple communications teams. So it really talks about how are you being a specialist and really getting good at your job, hearing those case studies, hearing from folks in the same profession as you, but learning their best practices. What I really love is our West Coast event, which is only 3 or 4 years old now, so it's relatively new. We launched it because we noticed there was a gap in the marketplace, specifically amongst biotech companies. And we noticed that a lot of them are getting, you know, comfortable with communications, but they're not utilizing it as much as they should. It's a really underrepresented tool that companies should be taking more advantage of. So we developed this conference that's specifically for biotech companies who oftentimes are an N of 1, or they don't have a large team or extra resources. So what can they do to be a generalist? How can they fulfill all the different roles and responsibilities that they're tasked with this ever-evolving role, while still being able to accomplish the business needs and meeting their stakeholders' desires?
And how can you maybe connect them to resources as well? Because those are the folks who may not know the firms out there who are reputable, who you often have engaged in your events as well, where they can meet people like Don Davis or Ryan Louth or Meredith Kiernan. Like, those are the folks who you curate and bring together. And I think folks know that when you've done that, they can trust that they're going to produce good quality. And that's another value that you give, is beyond educating, you're giving access, which I think is fantastic.
Absolutely. It's all about the community that we're able to build. And I think that's really crucial because oftentimes, especially in biotech, as I mentioned, you're an N of 1. So you don't have other folks to ask ideas or advice for. So this really creates a network of people to come together and say, hey, I'm new to this, or how did you handle that? And I think that's really the most valuable part of these events, is not just the education, but it's the networking and the communications and the community that you really build with this. And I think that's one of the things that I would recommend to everyone if you do come to our conferences, is to make sure you get out there, bring your business cards, talk to everyone, ask for their best advice or their tips. And another resource I will shout out is Ticket to Biotech.
Absolutely.
I know we have to mention it, by Linnea Olivares. So she's been a member of our community for over 3 years now, really building this. And she thought, why don't we take this to the next level? Rather than just meet once or twice a year, let's make this a year-round community. So she developed Ticket to Biotech. Go check it out, become a member. And it's a whole bunch of folks just like ourselves who work in this very highly regulated industry of biotech and pharma, specifically in communications. So it gives you access to all of those communicators and all the great content that she produces. And we partner with her quite a bit. She's helped us grow our community as well, which is great to see.
Well, through your work, both with Ticket to Biotech and Fierce, I'm curious if you can give us a sneak peek. What are one or two of the hot topics you see coming up for your next conferences? Give us a little inside scoop. Is that okay?
Yes,
Can I ask?
absolutely.
Okay, yay.
So I'm actually doing research right now, which is really great. And of course, AI is one of the hottest topics out there. I think it's kind of shifted the conversation from, oh, I'm scared of it, it's going to take my job, to what else can I do with this? How can it make my job even easier? How can I streamline this and make ChatGPT or other AI sources more efficient? I think the other topic that I'm hearing a lot about is social media. People are really getting bored of the old typical social media, and they want to focus on the new ways to really draw on their audience. And how are they connecting with their audience in new formats, right? It's not always just photos, but videos, podcasts, really meeting people at their level, and also finding influencers that even micro or very small influencers who are meeting their target audience. It's not always about having the biggest name in the room, but also it's the ones who are most impactful to the audience.
I think my favorite thing from one of your conferences is what Carolyn Schofield, our Assistant Director of Marketing Communications, who's in the room, picked up on. It's story making versus storytelling. And that a lot of these things you talked about are ways to make your story as opposed to just sitting back and waiting for it to happen, to make it yourself. And I think that's super important and a great skill that you're imbuing in people. Like, here's how you do that. As you know, the Gulf South is incredibly resilient and all about helping each other. Because of that, the Bullpen community is a mantra of find someone, help them, and repeat, very similar to the Fierce Comms conferences. So this is your chance, though. With all these communities out here, with all the people who watch Don's podcast, the Bullpen podcast and videos, the Bio and the Bayou videos, how can they help you? How can they help you do your job? Or what are you working on that they can help you impact? What would your ask be?
I have two.
Oh, I like that.
The first one is really just engage with me. Come email me, send me a LinkedIn message. Tell me about what your struggles are. What do you want to hear? What is the biggest pain point? And let me help. Let me hear what you want to hear, because then I can put it on stage. I can build a panel or find somebody who's done that well. So that really helps me, and it makes a better conference for everyone. So I love to do research and have calls with James and other experts in the field and hear what are you struggling with. And one of the things that often comes up is a topic I've never thought was a big challenge, but then I hear it from several people, and I can then bring that knowledge to the stage in a new and insightful way. The second one is talk, share, communicate. Communicators do best, right?
You're like, please do what we ask you to do.
Just share about it. And it's not always, hey, I'm going to the conference, but your insight.
Yeah.
Hey, I went and I heard something great from Carolyn. Hey, James made a really great point, and I wanted to share this on my LinkedIn or with my community. Maybe it's going to be writing that down in your notebook and coming back a year later and saying, what did I learn last year? What do I hope to get out of the conference next year? And making that a goal for yourself. I think it's all about communicating and posting, sharing, because that's how we really grow the network. And I'm really excited that we have a lot more social resources for our conferences. So hopefully when you come, you can even get a headshot or some other fun things and post and communicate about that as well.
Well, Carolyn and I are both super excited to come back next year. So we hope you're going to have us again. We're happy to do anything you want to put us to work on. But are there any final thoughts you want to leave us with before we close out today?
I thought of one other hot topic.
Let's do it. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Time. Investor relations.
Yes.
I think that is one of the hottest things I'm hearing about now is so many people are now tasked with doing investor relations in addition to their communications role. And it's not something that they were trained for or have expertise in, but they're learning on the fly. They're picking it up and realizing not only is it something that's a very great skill set to have, but the audience is going to be a little bit different for your investors, for your shareholders. And that's going to be one of the key topics on the West Coast as well, because I think it's going to be really important.
And it's very different perspectives on the West versus because on the East Coast, you probably have people whose job is investor relations. So on your West Coast, it's your CEO or your COO who's like, hey, you're also doing investor relations because they don't have somebody else. I'm super excited about that.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that we're trying to bring to this conference is making sure we're giving skill sets and practical tools and lessons that you can take home with you and utilize in your organization or company.
Well, thanks so much for coming down again. Do you happen to have dates for any of the conferences yet that you can share? Or are they still in the works?
We do. They are posted online. So we
Excellent.
have our East and West Coast dates posted, and we will be following up more information shortly on the upcoming
Is that
subsequent
fiercebiotech.com?
Fierce Biotech Week, Fierce Pharma Week, and Fierce Engage Week. So we
Excellent.
have 3 different weeks you can look up, and the dates are posted there.
And hopefully we can twist your arm for October 28th and 29th next year to come back down.
Absolutely.
All right.
Sign me
Yay.
up.
Thanks,
Can't
Miss
miss out on
Sal.
the BAYOU.
I appreciate it. Yay.